Oh, hey, we're live. Cool. All right, let me see if I could figure out how to do this again. Still very new to live streaming. Got to figure out how to get back to my own live stream. Oh, yeah, that's right. There's a link down here that will take me to the YouTube page where I can see chat messages. Different screen. There we go. Make sure that you guys don't hear any echoes. Man, the camera quality is kind of bad down here, huh? All right. And let's go ahead and share this link so anybody that is interested can go ahead and join us. We're going to go over to Twitter. We're going to share this bad. Also going to go into the Discord app, if I could find it. And going live. Yay. Yay. All right, yeah, we're going to be talking about a couple of different things today. I just wanted to go over a couple of different opportunities that have recently presented themselves to me. And I started a live stream. Oh, it automatically does that. That's pretty cool, huh? Wanted to just talk about a couple of different opportunities that have been presented to me, and then my thoughts. Kind of excited. It's pretty cool, but you guys will be able to, weigh in on what you guys think would be cool for the community. All right, and then man, kind of hard to do all this stuff. I should have got all this stuff ready before I started the stream, huh? It's all right. It's all right. And I'm only going to be in here for maybe half an hour, I think. Yeah. What's up, Gustavo Perez? Gangsta. You's a gangsta. No, I'm not. You's a gangsta. No, I'm not. You's a gangsta. Bang, bang, boogie, da bang, boogie. All right. At here, going live. Boink. And just like so. All right. So let me go back over to the chat, see how this is going. Thanks for the dispatch group video. No problem. It was actually a lot easier than I thought. I didn't use it until then. The only reason I decided to make the dispatch group video, because it was kind of far down there on the list, was because I saw an opportunity where I might have needed it for work, but I didn't end up needing it, so I actually didn't end up using it, but I still looked into it, and it does look like a pretty helpful resource. So yeah, anything with dispatch is awesome. Anything with dispatch, helps things out. As a matter of fact, I was looking into doing some dispatch stuff with Vapor. So I'm going to be looking into how that works. I've worked with the dispatch that was already recommended when using Vapor, server-side Swift, and stuff like that. What's going on, Aaron A? And I think I'm gonna have to use dispatch semaphore for Vapor for server-side Swift. So I'm looking into that type of stuff too. So I really like dispatch. I really like dealing with concurrency. It's pretty cool. Have you seen the new Vapor Cloud options? No, I don't think that I have. Could you elaborate on that, Aaron? Because I love all things that are Vapor. Vapor Cloud options? You have really piqued my interest. I have to find out what that is. vapor.codes, right? Cloud options. I don't know what that means. I want to know what that means. Let me find a link. Yeah, please do if you can, or like spell it out, because sometimes YouTube doesn't let you post links in the thing. Vapor.cloud. Okay. I'm gonna look at that right now. That would be kind of cool, huh? Vapor clouds. Let's see. What is this? A new type of cloud, performance, efficiency, and availability with zero configuration. Well, I don't know about zero configuration. I kind of like dealing with that stuff. I wonder if this is like their response. Yeah, it's blocking the links. Yeah, yeah. So you can't post links. I'll have to look into this in my off time, but that would be pretty interesting to play with, huh? Um, I just finished. I just finished everything that I need to do for my push notifications course. And let me put this over here because you guys are like looking at the side of my head, and I don't like that. Yeah, so I finished my push notifications course that's going to be uploaded through DevSlopes, and it should be out soon, they said. So I'm thinking maybe sometime next week, maybe. Hopefully not anything later than that. We'll see. And I had to work with Firebase Cloud Functions, which was really interesting because you have to do it in JavaScript because that's the only language that they currently support. So that was an interesting process, but it was pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and I was able to figure it out and then teach how to do push notifications or cloud functions that will trigger push notifications on that. So it was super interesting, and I wonder if that's like Vapor's cloud type thing where it's like minimum setup. You just write a couple of functions and then it goes up into some type of Vapor server or something like that. Not really sure. Oh, Firestore has come out. How do you guys feel about that? Have you guys played with it yet? I was looking at it, and it looks the same as real-time database. Or yeah, their real-time database. It looks the same to me, but apparently it scales a lot better than their real-time database. So we'll see how that goes. Why don't you build something like Launch School for iOS? I'm not really sure what Launch School is. Launch School. Let's find out what Launch School is. He says, why don't I build something like Launch School? That's a course type thing, then that's what I'm actually working on. I want to do some Udemy courses, except my own online programming boot camp. Yeah, see, this is probably something that I'm working towards. I don't know if you guys caught my last live stream, but I talked about like my end goal. My end goal is to like essentially be teaching people, and that's like all I would have to do, and then maybe pick up a project here and there if that's what yeah, I'd want to pick up like a project here and there just to make like maybe some extra spending money or whatever. But if I could make a living off of like just teaching you guys and coming up with courses and showing you guys all these things, and holding boot camps, which would be really awesome, which I think I'm kind of far away from being at a boot camp level yet, but that is the end goal. So yeah, I'll have to look into Launch School a little bit more, see what's the difference between, any of the other boot camps, but I'm sure that it's a pretty strong site if you're recommending it, and you said it's the real deal, so yeah. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to say your name. Uladzislaw? Hi, how you doing? Okay, so yeah, I'll look up the stories. Boot camps are lame. You need to teach monthly. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm working on a couple of things, a couple of subscription possibilities that I'm considering doing, and we'll see how that turns out. All right, so that brings me to what I mainly wanted to talk about are some of my new opportunities that have arisen within the past couple of weeks. Ula. Okay, sorry about the mispronunciation. What is the best way to be a good iOS developer? The very best way to become a good iOS developer is to create a YouTube channel or a blog or anything that's going to force you to teach. So I'll talk about this real quick. When I started learning how to program, because I learned how to program like 3 years ago, and iOS was really like the real first language. Like I don't consider HTML to be like a real programming language. It lets you do stuff, but I don't really think that's like a real programming language. I learned HTML, and then I actually learned iOS development through Swift when it came out. I started on Objective-C first, and that was a really steep learning curve. So I barely learned anything. I just pretty much learned how to read it. Never really got good at writing it. And then they had announced, what's up, Venkat? They had announced Swift was coming out. So I was like, oh, okay, I don't have to learn Objective-C. Awesome. So then when Swift came out, I jumped on right away. And from there, I started learning iOS development. I took a Rob Percival course, and he went over a lot of the basics, but like none of it, like the way that his teaching style was, it didn't. I wasn't able to really retain the information. I ended up taking Mark Price's or DevSlopes iOS development course, and that really helped out. So I had already learned the basics by myself. Then I went to Rob's course, and he taught some stuff that was pretty interesting. And then Mark's stuff is kind of what kind of brought everything together so that I understood everything. So that's how I learned. And then a couple months later, after I finished the course, I got a job. Getting a job is another great way to increase your skills as an iOS developer, especially if you're working on legacy code, because one, you can learn from the code that you're working with, and two, it's going to present you with a couple of different things that you are not familiar with. Like when I started on the project that I'm on when I started my first job as an iOS developer, and I started working on the code. Oh my God, this code is so bad. So I got a couple of bad learning habits from it, or coding habits, I should say, bad coding habits from it, because I kind of saw what they were doing and kind of modeled it after them to try to be consistent, but they had bad practices as developers. Anyway, I learned a couple of different things. Like I didn't even know what ternary operations were. So like they had a lot of those in there, and I was like completely confused. So I learned a lot of stuff when I got my job, right? Let's say you still haven't got your job, or you don't feel like you're ready to get your first job. What you can do to substitute, like as opposed to getting a job and then taking on legacy code, is what you could do is you could like download like anything off of GitHub. I haven't really tried this yet, but it's the same concept. Download anything off of GitHub, which you find interesting, and then see if you could just make it better. You don't even have to do like the pull request or anything like that. You could just use it for your personal practice and see if it, like, just take a look at whatever it is and be like, oh, I can make this better by adding this feature and that feature, or let me see how they did this, and that will make you better. But the thing that has really improved like my iOS development skills by far is teaching you guys how to do some of these things in the videos, because there's just some stuff that I would have never learned how to do if I didn't have a YouTube channel. And the same goes for if you had like a blog or something like that, right? So when you're doing like a YouTube channel or a blog, it forces you to learn, especially if you're taking requests, which I try to do as much as possible. If you're taking requests from your audience and they ask you to cover this thing that you never have worked with, like I'm constantly getting requests for Spotify, so I'm gonna have to do that Spotify video soon. and people are like people are going to ask you to do these things that you're not familiar with. So it's going to force you to go out there and learn it yourself, right? And then you have to get it to a point and learn it and understand it to the point where you can actually teach it. And then when you're teaching it, you're going over it. So you end up going through this thing, you going through this process 3 times. You have to learn it yourself. You have to make it into something that you can present and teach. And then you actually have to do the teaching. So you end up going through it 3 times, which is pretty cool. So that is what will take your development skills to a whole nother level. I know that's kind of a long answer, but I mean, if you're subscribed to this channel, then you already know that I'm gonna give you a long answer. Like everything I do is just like takes forever. All right, so let me see what I missed. Let's see. What is the best way? Yep. You should do a course on programmatically doing iOS. Um, I mean, I could do that. I'm not really stoked about doing that because I don't like doing stuff programmatically. It's just like it takes up so much time. Like I did a programmatic video. I showed you guys how to do stuff programmatically in one of my videos, and I showed you how to do it on the storyboard, and it was like super quick. It was like 5 minutes, and then the rest of the 20 minutes in the video was like me showing you how to do that same exact thing but programmatically. So I might do that, but I mean, I'm not stoked about doing that. You also have a senior dev, hopefully helping you out. No, I actually don't have a senior dev. I'm the only iOS developer. This is I work for a startup primarily, like my full time job. I'm a contractor, but I work 40 hours a week for this company, and I don't have a senior iOS developer, so I don't have anyone that I could learn like iOS development skills from. Like it's all on me. And then like I learn from my team in what they do, but I don't learn anything regarding like best practices for like development or like I said, anything to do with iOS. So it doesn't really help. It's like I learn other things, which is pretty cool, but I don't learn anything that helps me directly in the code that I like working with. Um, I'm struggling with APIs, suggesting on learning how to use APIs. Hey, Sean, I know I reached out and helped you. Um, just check, like I have a couple of videos on JSON and working with APIs. I mean, I feel like my videos would cover anything that I could really tell you. Like there's not much that I left out from the working with those APIs. So if you could just check those out, and if you've already checked them out, then um, you might have to sign up for the mentoring course, because I try to be as specific as possible and try to wasn't able to get it to print to console. Yeah, I remember you had said that. Um, Yeah, I don't know. Like, there's no reason. Like, if you're putting in breakpoints, it should really help you find out like how far you're getting in the code, and figuring that stuff out. Because I don't know what to tell you. Like, maybe the best thing would be to my older videos, which are part of the JSON and the API requests and stuff like that. Maybe download those, or yeah, because those ones are on GitHub. You don't even have to be part of my enrollment on my website. You can go to my GitHub, find those, download them, and see if those work. And then if they do work, just reverse engineer it and see what you're doing differently compared to what I'm doing, and hopefully that will help. It was hard to find first job. Like I think you're asking, was it hard? Yes, it's hard. It's hard. A lot of people say like mobile development is like super on fire and there's jobs everywhere, but it's not that easy to get a job. Like the one thing that I can tell you is just look everywhere, because where I found my job was my manager posted. he had posted something on Meetup, and I was randomly scrolling through Meetups because I was going to Meetups. I was doing everything that I possibly could do to get an iOS development job because I just wanted to get out of working at the restaurant. And I was doing everything that I possibly could. I was going to meetups. I was applying. I was going on all those sites like Hired and what is it, AngelList or whatever, and all those other apps that are out there. I was doing all that stuff, Monster, and I was just applying to these places and also trying to like make my own apps. Just make sure that you have an app in the App Store. That definitely helps. And you know, it's a little it's hard. I'm not going to say that it's easy. It's not like you're just going to walk out there and be like, oh, hey, I'm an iOS developer, and people are going to jump on you. It's not like people make it sound like that, but it's not like that. Like you still have to put in a lot of effort just to get hired. So work at it. Don't give up, and you should expect to apply to like at least 100 companies before you get like just a couple of interviews. You know, like you might apply to 100 companies and might only get like 5 interviews, and then you know you have to make sure that your interview skills are on point. So that's just something to keep in mind. There was some tech.task on the interview. There was some tech.task on the. I'm not really sure what that means. I wasn't able to get it to print. I generally don't write code in MVC. Should I strictly start following MVC formats in my code? Um, you don't have to follow MVC. No, but you do have to follow some type of pattern. Like, don't just be randomly typing everything into like one control. Like, don't put all your code into the view controller. That's like really bad. Nobody's gonna want to hire you. But you should be following some pattern, whether it's solid or MVVM or Viper or something. Follow something, but don't just follow nothing. Don't just make up your own thing. So yeah. Okay, is basic enough to handle any application? Is basics enough to handle any application? Um, okay, so what do you need to know to start working with applications and be able to handle? Um, I think I said this in my last live stream, but what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to not necessarily do anything. What you need to do is you need to be comfortable with your skill set, knowing that if somebody asks you to do something, that you have the skill set where you can go out and you can find the answer on how to do that, whether you know it or not. Because more likely than not, no matter what the job is, you're not going to know how to do whatever they ask you to do. Nobody's going to ask you to put a button on a screen and then tap it and then just make a counter go up. Like that's not like who's going to pay you for that, right? Like that's super basic. What you need to be able to do is you need to be able to you know, go out and find whatever resources are necessary so that you can make whatever they're asking you to do happen. So once you feel comfortable, like as long as you know how to Google and Stack Overflow, you should really be fine. As long as you can take what's on Stack Overflow and then use that implementation into your own project, like you obviously modify it to whatever you need. Obviously, they're not going to just have exactly what you need on Stack Overflow. You have to modify it. You have to just take that information so that you understand the concept, and then you can start, you know, reverse engineering the Stack Overflow and use it into your own application. That's what you need to be comfortable doing. As long as you can do that, you're ready. And I mean, even me, this is one of the opportunities that I wanted to talk about. I was talking to a guy that works here at this workspace, and he wanted to kind of start like a little network that we're going to be part of, or that he wants me to be part of. Like we're going to be kind of like a team of like contractors and businesses. And like I told him straight out, like, hey, like you know, I don't personally feel comfortable until like you see my work and you know what I can do. Like it's okay to be uncomfortable. Like I know that I can achieve whatever I'm asked to do. If somebody else can do it, I know that I can do it, right? But like even I don't feel comfortable, and I teach you guys, and it might seem like I know a lot more than I do, but I don't. And you just have to be confident enough in yourself to know that, hey, I can go out and find the information that I need. So once again, a super long answer for a very short question. Look everywhere and builds. They lie. Look everywhere and build stuff. iOS developer. Whoa, where did that go? iOS developer should have some portfolio on GitHub. GitHub is something nice, but I don't think that it plays a huge role in the hiring process. When I was looking for a job, I was on GitHub like every day. So I mean, definitely do that. It will increase your skills because it means at least you're programming something. But nobody really asked me for my GitHub when I was applying for jobs. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to guarantee you a job, but it will definitely help you. Okay, what features in the app do employers look for in app that you have on App Store? I don't have any real, like, my personal projects aren't really good. I have one that just displays text that's larger, which I made for my great grandfather, because my great grandfather, he was hard of hearing, and when he was in the hospital, when we went to go see him, like, we would have to yell to talk to him. So what I ended up doing was making an app called Easy Read, and all it was like a label with really large text, and then you can type into it and then display the text on your screen. That was one of the apps, and the other app was like it's called Brain Dump, and it was essentially just a notes app. And some of my UX sucks, so it actually got some bad reviews because like there wasn't any, like, it didn't automatically save when you went to go see your notes, right? Like you had to press like the plus or the save button to save it and then go to your notes. So yeah, like my apps didn't help me get my job. It was just really like searching, but it's nice to say, like, if the employer doesn't have time to look at those apps, or like maybe they're not iOS savvy and they don't know what really goes into an app, like especially if you're working, startups are like the easiest places to get hired at. So if you're going to a startup and they just need somebody that knows how to build apps, and they're not like really strong in the technical background, and then just having anything on the App Store will seem pretty good. But if you have somebody that's like strongly technical and they look at your app and it's like just a notes app or just a label with large text, that's probably not gonna do something. But yeah, but I do have my company's app, which is it's called Tennis Pal, and it is like a social network for tennis players. It's essentially Facebook for tennis. But yeah, that's probably going to be a selling point if and when I look for a job. Ulad, most likely I have. How I get my clients / agency, is that straight up call agency and ask to speak with the owner? I don't work for an agency. Don't plan on working for an agency, so I honestly don't know how you would go about approaching an agency, but I would assume that they probably have on their website somewhere where you can apply, or you could just reach out directly to a person on Twitter or an email or something like that. So that's what I would recommend. Sending out resumes on some site rarely works. If you have a nice resume with experience and stuff on the App Store, yeah, that would also be nice to have. Just sending out resumes randomly, yeah, that probably won't work. That's true. Sean is real. It depends. And GitHub, just on the show them clear code, because a lot of people ask. Recruiters don't know what they're talking about. So a recruiter's, just like any other person, they're trying to get paid and they're trying to, do whatever it takes to get a job. So just keep keep in mind that recruiters aren't technical people, so they don't really understand what you do. So they might try to place you in the wrong job. So just keep that in mind. They just know that they're supposed to ask for GitHub because that's what coders supposedly do. So yeah. I'm not able to make beautiful UI. Please do a video on making an attractive UI, which includes some libraries, maybe form awesome Swift GitHub, maybe. I'm not really good at doing UI. I mean, I do the UI for the Tennis Pal app, but by no means am I a UI developer, and I probably won't do videos on UI. I don't enjoy doing UI, so I probably won't do videos. Like, I would much rather have somebody that knows what they're doing in UI do the assets for me and give them to me. But other than that, I use Sketch, which is like $100, and it's pretty worth it. All you have to do is just learn Sketch. A lot of developers have quite strong opinions against using storyboards in development process. Do you personally use it in your work? Yes, storyboards is a must for me, because a lot of people say like, oh, it's hard to have multiple people work on storyboards. Well, that's not the case if you just have multiple storyboards. The other problem is that they say that storyboards take a long time to like render just so that you can see what's going on. That's true, but at the same time, it takes a long time just to write out all that code. Another benefit to using storyboards is that if your employer, which is not technical, wants to look at what the app will look like and you don't have like it all working yet, then you could just show them the storyboards. So that's also, I think I don't know how true this is, but I think some designers are getting into Xcode and using the storyboard so that the design is done right there in the code. So I know I heard somebody say something like that before. I don't know how popular that approach is for designers. Man, this thing scrolls like super crazy whenever I try to read your comments, guys. Wow. Wow, I'm getting lost now. Okay. They lie. I read that. Okay, copy other designs from other apps. Yes, copy other designs from other apps. That is that's actually a really good tip from Gustavo. More likely than not, you're not a designer, right? And if you're not a designer, then just find the app that does what you plan on doing and just try to copy exactly what they do. And then after you copy exactly what they do, just make little tweaks where maybe you want to stand out and be different, or maybe you just have a preference on how something should look. So yeah, that's a great thing to do. That's what I try to do. I learned a lot from you. Cheers. Thanks, Abdullah. I'm glad I could help. I contract. Good job, Gustavo. You contract the hell out of them contracts, man. I'm a backend dev and have been freelancing for 15 years. Nice. Looking into backend myself with Vapor. So yeah, getting into that. How long were you coding before you got your first job? Okay, so let's see. I was coding, so probably about close to a year and a half before I got my first job, like from start. Like from the moment I started coding, which started with web development, to when I got my first job was like a year and a half, because I started with web development and Objective-C. And then, yeah, and I was doing all that stuff while I was working at a restaurant and going to school, I think. I don't know. I had several jobs, and I was just doing this in my spare time, trying to make it a possibility so that I could get a different job. And yeah, it took me a while to do it, but I wasn't actively pursuing it. Like, I didn't start actively looking for a job until like I had done like 9 or 10 months of on the side spare time coding and just learning development, because I don't come from like a development background. I don't have like a degree in development or computer science or whatever. So it took me about a year and a half, but like it took about 6 months of me like actively trying before I found the job or something like that. Yeah, about like 4 to 6 months, something like that. How long were you, what's your thoughts in the future of AR kit and machine learning? My thoughts, I think that those two are going to be game changers because if you think about it, holograms are extremely unlikely. But if Apple came out with like some glasses or something like that, then we would essentially have like everything that you see in those movies that thought the future was going to be full of holograms. Like if you think of like, yeah, like Blade Runner, right? The original Blade Runner, they had a bunch of holograms and all these crazy things on buildings and stuff like that. And yeah, because I don't know if it's physically possible to stop light for a hologram to work, but it's very possible to put on some glasses and then see all these different advertisements and see everything that you're working with in a virtual or an augmented world. So I think AR kit is huge, and machine learning. Yeah, I mean those two. Machine learning is, that's part of the Terminator. So we're gonna die from the Terminator, right? So yeah, the Matrix and things like that. All right, so I was supposed to talk about some of my opportunities. I had already mentioned this. I'm working with one of the guys here at my co-working space, and we're going to be possibly teaming up on a couple of jobs, which sounds pretty exciting. He does design work, and he is also getting other people, other contractors or businesses um, together to have this whole network that will knock out all this work, right? So he and I were talking, and he wants me to be on the team. So that's something that's pretty interesting and exciting for me. So I'm looking into that, which means that I'd be getting some contract work, which would definitely help for my family. And then what else was I presented with? Oh, also doing some more live streaming for you guys that would be a little bit more code related for DevSlopes. It's something that was thrown out there by Mark, the CEO of DevSlopes. He said that if I wanted to, that's something that I could do, where I could do live streaming, live coding on their YouTube channel, and it could be about whatever code that I want. So I'm kind of thinking about doing that too, especially since I wanted to do something similar for you guys, anyways, for the live streams. I'm thinking about doing like live streams on on topics that I have like I don't know about, right? So that you guys can see what the learning process is. Um, because like I don't want to like I think there's this, I think it appears to people that like us YouTube programmers know everything that we're teaching like in depth, but that's not always the case. I would say that's usually not the case. Like we put out videos on things on stuff that we had to learn right before we made that video, right? Like people are putting out videos on AR kit and machine learning, and it's like, well, nobody's an expert in those fields, but we still put out these videos on it, right? So I think it'd be an interesting process to show you guys how I learn these things and how I would add it into a project and see if that helps you guys out to see my thought process and see what it takes to go through and like make a video about that. So yeah. Let's see, just one more question. What is the best way to make code more professional? Watching on code of other users on Git? No, I would say Ula or Ule. Uh, the best way to make your code more professional is to I would say is to experiment with like different coding styles, and because it's going to teach you why certain things are important. And then also yeah, I guess if you did go and get it, it might help you, but you know, how do you know that person is writing good code for their Git repositories? Like if you go on my GitHub and you check out like some of my projects that I do for the videos, like those aren't like exactly good coding practices. Like I do what I need to do in order to get the information to you guys in a clear and concise way. So like I'm not focusing on the code, like how well the code is written. I try to make it a little bit better so that you guys can kind of start understanding that type of stuff. But like I'm just saying, like, how do you know that person was, focusing on making their code very readable and using all their best practices that they know how to implement? So just keep that in mind. Just keep learning all the different things that go into coding, and then try to understand how they fit together and how to keep your work as modular as possible. That's always like the main thing. I actually do the same thing with other peeps. I don't remember what that is in reference to, but that's good that you're working with other people. Have you prospectively pros- have your prospective employers even made some remarks like that? It would have been great if you had no, like technology, like writing software doesn't have anything to really do with a CS degree. What matters is what you actually know and what you can implement. That's what it all comes down to. Because even if you come out of school with a CS degree, they still want to know that you know how to implement the stuff, not necessarily have a piece of paper that says that, oh, you went through our terrible school systems and got this paper. In my experience, I've never used. Let's see. Pick a style and stick with it. You don't necessarily have to pick a style right away. I mean, it's good to experiment. Like I said, if you experiment, you could kind of see where different things fit together, and you can start, figuring some of this stuff out, like that you wouldn't normally come across. Any thoughts, good/bad, on React Native? The only reason I don't like React Native is because I don't really or like yeah, I just want there to be I just want everything to run on Swift, because Swift is such a beautiful language. I don't have anything, like I haven't really tried React Native, but I just want everything to run on Swift. We already have iOS on it. We have server-side development running on Swift. Now we just need to get a fully functional Android library for Swift, and that's all we really need. React Native pulls me back and forth, and I would always come back to Native. Yeah, people have different reasons for going to React Native. So, all right, guys. So I think that might be it. I think that's all I'm going to cover today. Thanks for coming into the live stream. Yeah, probably going to do the same thing next week at 9. It seems like Sean Allen is back, so make sure you catch his live stream tomorrow. And he does his on Sundays, and I decided to do mine on Saturdays, so we don't have any conflicts, and you guys can always have something to watch. So yeah, be on the lookout for a couple of new videos this week. I don't know what I'm going to cover. It just depends on what my time is looking like, and it looks like I have very little time to explore this week, so I'm probably going to just keep it really simple on stuff that I already know how to do. Sean Allen is an awesome YouTuber that you should definitely check out. So type in Sean Allen into the YouTube search results, and his page should come up. He's also another iOS developer that does videos a lot more often than I do, and he doesn't make full-on movies. He keeps it nice and concise. So check him out. Yeah, so that's all until next week. Make sure you keep coding passionately. All right, later, guys.